Boom! And we are live. We're gonna start in about 2, 3 minutes. So grab a glass of water, make yourself comfortable, and let us know if you're ready for that. All right.
Hey, hello.
Hello. I'm gonna quickly check all the social media, make sure everything is running smoothly. Okay. So if you're watching this from YouTube, let me know. Drop me a little comment. Let me know where you are. Let me know if you hear us well. This is super important. YouTube seems to be running. Um, Let me check. I don't have a LinkedIn confirmation yet, but I think it's gonna arrive. It seems like we're running on X. Brilliant. I love it. We'll give 1 or 2 minutes and then we'll give it a start. Everything's good on your side?
On my side. Oh, yeah, yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to this. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. Um, we had few interesting chats in the past, and I'm so happy that we are doing this live this time. I think every time we had this conversation, we were like, we should have been doing this live.
Exactly.
It's about
Exactly.
time, so it's perfect
Yeah, exactly. I
occasion to do
think
that.
in an ideal world, all my conversation would just go live.
Yeah,
So that people can yeah, so many times we thought, oh, it's a shame people didn't listen to that and stuff like that. I
yeah.
love it. I don't know what microphone you have, but the sound is crisp. I love it.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I have to give a shout out to my friend and community member Alexandre Lenné, whose birthday now, who advised me to change my microphone to have a more like late night DJ voice when I make content. It's pretty helpful to have a good sound. Thanks.
Yeah, it's one of the best things. One of the best things. We are going to start in a minute. Okay, LinkedIn is live, X is live, YouTube is live, everything is running smoothly. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, seems like we already start to have comments. All right, we'll give it a
Nice.
start in 1 minute. So, welcome everyone. Let us know that you're here. Drop a little message in the chat, a little comment, say hello. Tell us if you're doing well. Let us know where you are. It's always good to see like people tuning in from all over the world. We always appreciate that. All right, let's go. Boom, boom, boom. Checking this. Seems like everything is running smoothly. There you go. See, we start getting people from Switzerland. Hello,
Hey,
hello.
Moons.
That sounds like a an Amazigh name. Ait Hamu.
Good friend.
Oh,
Hey,
okay, okay, okay.
so
That's
happy to
cool.
see him here. Really cool.
Ah, nice, nice, nice. So now we cannot say anything bad about him.
He has tough skin, thick skin, thick
Ah,
skin.
love it, love it, love it. Okay, we're gonna get started because everything is running. Welcome to the Startup Kitchen Show, episode number 5. I'm your host, Riley. I'm a startup advisor and investor. And every week I have conversations with founders, builder, startuppers, but also subject matter expert like today and also investors. The purpose of the show is really to share knowledge, experience, inspire, and empower builders, startuppers, founders to get it out there and to work. The particular point of this show is that we do it with no artificial flavors. So we're gonna call out the things that don't work. We're gonna give you real life lessons that we collected, my guest, myself, and also answer a couple of your questions. If you have a look at the top left corner, I believe you'll see a little live icon. That means if you're watching this now, right now, Wednesday 19, it's live, so you can jump into the comments, drop your questions, drop your comments, and interact with our guests. So this is the Startup Kitchen Show, and let's go. Othman, thank you so much for being here today.
Likewise, really so good to be here. Really excited about this conversation.
Love it, love it. So I have to give you a little bit of the why I wanted to have you on the show. Uh, as you know, I'm a startup advisor. I'm a software engineer who became a startup advisor and investor. And one of the biggest thing that founders are missing, especially from engineering like me, is sales and marketing. That's probably like the top one, two things. And I know, like a little voice told me that this is what you help engineers with. So I wanted to have this conversation with you today about that.
Well, really, you get it about right. You know, it's I'll probably roll back a bit. Just like you, actually, I'm a software engineer. I worked in the aerospace industry for a while. Then I ventured onto entrepreneurship side, and today I realized a few lessons that all the, let's say, all the mistakes that you could do as an engineer in business, I probably done quite a few of them and still doing. And the idea was, how can I help my fellow engineers that venture onto the business side to get a level the playing field? Because I have to say, and we're going to talk about it, we are disadvantaged when we come from engineering. And it's just that we don't learn that at university. We learn it in the school of life. And we can just it's a skill, and we just have to realize there's a shift in identity that us engineers go through when we go to entrepreneurship. Unlike a doctor, when he removes his uniform, his blouse, then he becomes the person who takes a new role, or in the other, or vice versa. Well, engineers, we work on a computer, and then we just become an entrepreneur on the computer, and we don't realize this flip switch that we need to do when we go to entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a teaser of the conversation that is going to happen. But let's rewind a little bit. First question. This show is called the Startup Kitchen Show. So I always like to start with this question. What is your favorite dish?
Ah, tagine, tagine, Moroccan tagine. I think it's especially the one with plums and beef meat. So tagine is a Moroccan dish, very traditional. You have different sizes, just like in Italy. They have pizza. They have the pasta, the paste, the tomato sauce, and different variants. Well, in Morocco we have tagine, which is meat and different vegetables. And what I like about this one is sweet and sour, like sweet and salty, if you can say. And also it has different flavors, so different textures. Some, like the meat is very buttery, and it melts, and the almonds are cracking. So it's an experience. It's a food experience. That's what I love about it.
Absolutely.
Tangier from Marrakech.
we, we already have people who want to jump into this food conversation. I love this. I love this. What is what does it make? What ingredients make? Sorry, what ingredients make good tagine for you? What is the one, two, three ingredients that changes everything in the recipe?
uh, to me, it's the timing of everything, that how
Okay.
we do it. So
Okay.
how we cook the meat, how we cook the, I think the plums, they are done separately because it's sweet. So it's understanding how to um, like unite the two worlds together. And it's
Mm,
just not, you don't mix everything and put it into the tagine. That's it. Even though it could be one way, but I like the fact that it's intentional. But for me, for the tagine, what I love about it, beyond the food itself and ingredients, are the people around it. It's a
mm,
round plate. It's a family that sits around. We all eat from the same plate, and there is something very strong in building a community of families, connecting with others in a moment where we let go. We off the guard. The moment when we eat and share this moment, it's something special. So for
mm.
me, the ingredients, I would say, beyond the food, is the setting. It's what it means.
I love this. I love this. It's not necessarily the ingredients itself. It's the setting. It's also the time, the timing.
Yeah, and the people.
That and the people that makes it a great tagine. I love every single word that you said, because if I transpose it to the business world, that sentence 100% still applies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To build
Yeah.
the great product, it's not about the ingredients, it's about the packaging, it's about the people, it's about
Absolutely. Yeah.
how you infrastructure everything to make it work. uh, and it's the goal that you have in mind when you build a tagine. It's like, what do I want people to feel when they're eating it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing what you're saying. The food is such an important thing, and for me, food is a social moment. Even having lunch together, in our
Yes,
startup communities, in our co-working spaces. This is the lake where all the animals from the savannah, go to drink. The giraffe, the crocodile, the monkeys, and you know, everyone is doing his job, but that's something that connects people. And yeah, definitely.
absolutely, absolutely. And you also said something interesting. You said it's a blend between those two elements, like the ingredients and also the timing of the cooking, and blending those two together the right way, then gets it right.
Yeah, absolutely. This is as engineers, we think sometimes sequentially. We need to do things in a certain way uh, until it comes to business. Then we don't want to do things in a sequence. And it feels like when you're cooking, the recipe has to be done this way. But you say, you know what? I just feel like I would do it differently. And it's fine. But you might not get what you were expecting at the beginning.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is a brilliant analogy to business, because from my experience, my observable reality, a lot of engineers and a lot of founders, a lot of startups, the minute they enter the room of the business, the product, they shut down every other experience. Just like this food.
Yeah.
When in reality, we are just adapting something we've learned in another environment, and ask ourselves, how can we make it work? Like, how can we apply cooking recipes and techniques into building a product? And like, as you said, like the minute they enter the room, they think, oh no, this is a completely forget everything we know about how the world works, and
Mm,
let's engineer that stuff. And so that's why I like to start the show with this segment about food, to remind everyone that knowledge is essentially everywhere. As long as you have an open mind and you think, okay, interesting piece of knowledge, how can I apply it to my world? How can I apply it to my market? How can I apply it to my and that's exactly what I want to discuss today with you. Today I want to today I want to unpack the tagine recipe of sales
brilliant.
with you.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I just want to add something to what you just said, because I think what you're doing with the food here is a very powerful thing. So, food is something so universal, and we all know it, we can relate to it. And using analogies from food metaphors is a way to download knowledge into a space where reality is more complex, where we cannot decode what's going on the business side. And I think this is a very smart and very useful way to download knowledge from a field that we all know. We can see the pattern, and now you can map the things with the business side. And that's very powerful. You're already doing it, and I love that. It's something I see. It's the go-to for us to actually be able to share this knowledge. Actually, as you mentioned, knowledge is everywhere. We just need the right metaphors and analogies and models for us to be able to decrypt this currently complex reality in our businesses.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a very interesting comment. I want to share that, and then
Yeah,
we'll dive into
sure.
the second segment of the podcast. It's quite of a long one, so let me read and translate it. He's so
Ahmed. Hi,
Ahmed
Ahmed.
is saying tagine is illustrating a very simple philosophy. It's assemble the essential ingredients, sometimes like seasoned ingredients, and let them cook slowly in perfect harmony. And this is very similar to the entrepreneurial ecosystem, where different disciplines cohabit and collaborate with each other. Everyone is bringing its uniqueness
Love it.
into the pot, and by blending all of that slowly, then you're able to cook that
Yes,
thing. Thank you
that's it.
so much for that comment. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Ahmed. That's brilliant.
So people seems to be hungry. Tagine, are you hungry? are we talking about so I can prepare the needed products?
Okay, you see, we have some, we have the Tajin gang here.
Yeah, exactly. You brought the entire kitchen with you today. Absolutely. So yeah, so this was the introduction of, okay, we can talk business in a non-business way. We can talk sales in a non-sales way. We can talk engineering in a way. And that's why I always try to keep in mind when we're having those conversations into the show. That being said, my audience don't know you.
Yes,
What is
okay.
your Dragon Ball origin story?
So my name is Othmane Boumzebra. I'm from Morocco. I grew up in Morocco until I was 11. I grew up, moved to France, studied engineering, went to embedded systems, and that's what started about a decade the career in engineering, like in the software industry, software for safety critical systems. So the way to develop this type of software is very rigid. There are very strong standards and regulations that we have to follow so that we can produce software, ship software to a commercial aircraft, software for
Yeah.
flight. And the standards that are in place require the testing. So the QA, if you could say, in the maybe startup world, is way more, let's say, complex, rigid. And what's very interesting about that space, and I mention it because it's relevant for conversation later, is that it's probably the most risk averse way of developing. So we think worst case scenario. We cross check, double check. We think of the boundaries beyond boundaries, and we don't necessarily use the latest technologies because they're still not tested, not safe. We don't want to be too creative in a field where safety is at stake. And through across my journey, I had amazing managers that saw in me and gave me this feedback that, hey, Othman, you deal better with people than with machines. Maybe we should bring you into some room to, like I used to train people coming from different industries to the aerospace industry and basically very quickly get them to understand why we do things this way. So people coming from telecommunications, from consumer electronics, from automotive, aerospace is different. This is how. And I loved this interaction with people coming from different bridges. And I had always this entrepreneurial spirit. And with my wife, who started I always wanted to start a business. She was from the event industry, and we decided, you know what, let's do something in events, business to business event, trade shows. This is her
Mm.
field, but let's focus on the aerospace industry. So I went to the marketing side of the same industry. Um, in my entrepreneurial journey, and we were helping aerospace firms from Europe that are going to exhibit at international trade shows. And this is what exposed me to the marketing, sales in the business to business setting. When COVID happened, everything stopped, and I decided to shift a bit the gears and give a sense to my origin story. As an engineer who has been into entrepreneurship, what are the lessons that I learned along the way that could be useful to others that are going through the same issues I've been through? And one of the biggest issues I had was sometimes when people ask me about my business, what do you do? I would literally either be really boring, while Othman is quite a fun guy, but when I start talking about my business, it would go very monotonic, very chronological. People won't get why. And if you ask me why it's different from others, I would really struggle to find the word to explain that in a convincing way. And sometimes also in my communication, even with my own team, I would have the vision, I would understand why it's so good, why it's a great idea, but people would not get it. And
Mm.
most more often than not, I would blame them for not getting it. I was projecting the way I would see things onto them, expecting others to understand me instead of me making my message understood. I learned this the hard way. So, what really helped me into this journey was getting. Uh, my think now from experience, what I can see is that I'm like to be in the bridge between two different worlds at the crossroad between engineering, marketing. I grew up in Morocco, moved to France. Now I live in Bulgaria after living in Germany. This exposed me to so many different worldviews that makes me be not judgmental of things, but realize, okay, maybe there is something in the way they see things that I'm missing, and I need to go to their side to see um, to see the world from their perspective. And this is the basics of empathy, which is actually a very fundamental aspect to speaking to our customers. And that's the premise for everything I'm doing. And I went through the same journey where now, after like after having an entrepreneurial experience, the question and having this mission, well, I need to talk about it. So just like any engineer, I would ruminate for months, having this amazing concept idea. Oh, this just would change the world for engineers. Wow, it's great. And I'm speaking, nobody, just in my head. And until I joined the community, actually based in the US, Seattle region with Guillaume Viator. And this community of professionals from the US are quite international, Europeans and other professionals like me on the journey really helped me get this accountability that to make a commitment with other peers. I found that so powerful. It helped me immediately jump into the unknown and actually go and share my message. And during that one conversation, this my coach asked me, my mentor coach, he asked me, Othmane, why engineers? And I remember I blocked for a few seconds. I had to think about it. It was a very deep question. It started to make me think deeply about why engineers. And what I could feel is that when I was an engineer, I was quite an average one, but in a very structured industry, you do good job as an average person, which is good. That's a good system. And even with that, people, my engineering community adopted me. So I was accepted. I was belonging to this industry. I was proud of being part of such industry. To give me the confidence that actually was running behind me, that gave me momentum in my career. You know, when I say to people I work in the aerospace industry, it feels pretty great. So when I go to the entrepreneurial side and then I see engineers attempting to build a business, pitching it, and getting destroyed in public or misunderstood, it hurts. It really hurts. And I'll never forget one uh, pitch theater in an old web summit when it used to be in Dublin. That's more than 10 years ago. And there was a, a guy who was an engineer. He wanted to pitch his startup idea. And I was there with Christopher, another friend of mine. And we just look at him pitching. We would get it. As engineers, we were like, wow, that's amazing idea. And then the gentleman told him, son, I understood F all to what you just said. You must be an engineer. And that breaks my heart because my identity was tied to these engineer folks that create the best systems that we use every day. They work in the dark. They don't seek the light. They take pride of doing great work. So I decided that I want to give confidence back to these people when they go to the business side. That's um, that's why I am and starting to share my message about positioning, because the main root cause, in my view, is positioning, but it's a concept that is not yet disseminated into the engineering technical spaces. It's very more present in the creative spaces. So again, between the two worlds, I learned from creatives, the cousins of engineers, how to think about it. I call engineers the cousins of creatives because creatives are the leaning towards the emotional sides, and sometimes they need more rationality in their businesses so that they thrive. And engineers, they're very rational and they need to understand the emotional realm, which is invisible, which is this woohoo thing, this psychological thing, to actually be able to sell and to market the services and products. So I hope I didn't make it too long, but just to end, to close the story, in one of my talks about positioning, one engineer came to me and said, Othman, it's great. I love the concept, very insightful. I learned a lot, but we are engineers. We can't talk. And this pissed me off. I couldn't sleep that night. I woke up the next day. I said, this is it. Well, it's engineers can talk. That's how I will call my mission and my community, and everything I will do will be tied to that. And then the rest is we're going to talk about maybe more in details if there is a specific aspect you want to cover.
No, brilliant, brilliant origin story. I was just sitting and listening and enjoying it because a lot of the things that you said, I pretty much live the same thing. I'm also an engineer, and I quickly noticed that the problem I was facing was not building the stuff. It was not like writing C code, C++,
Yeah.
or like writing the algorithms. It was trying to make it understandable for others. And there's this famous saying that us are sort of fed, which is like build something and people will just come.
Yeah.
And I think it also, my theory is that it comes from this world where people used to come to us with their problems and we would just come and fix it.
Correct. Mm.
And now it's slowly the technology and the advance of technology, it seems like we're now becoming more proactive. We're going out there looking for problems or anticipating problems, but people don't know we exist. So now we have to build a
Yeah,
bridge in the other side.
exactly. Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very interesting in this space because we can go back to just the basics. As an engineer, you know, I work from spec. So customer come, I need to build a bridge from this mountain to this mountain, and it's to sustain earthquakes and conditions. So we start from spec. And as we become better engineers, or we build some leverage or expertise, we become very good, but still we work from that spec.
Mm.
And the biggest shift I see is that when we move to entrepreneurship, we have to go and figure out what that spec is in the first place. We have to know what's the problem that we are facing so that we can articulate. The spec is the solution. We need you to build a solution that solves this problem. So the problem is identified. So it's understanding we need to go to the next level, which is actually having conversations with the users, the customers, the members, the audience about what they need, what is their problem, so that we can articulate a spec for a solution that could solve that problem. And I think it's this thing of understanding that there is an invisible barrier that we have to cross, and it's a complete different game. While before we can only work with, I want to work only with people that know what they want. Okay, cool. That's implementation. But actually, when you're in innovation, when you are working at the strategic levels, you have to get out there and to do a discovery to figure out what your customers actually want.
Mm.
And that's the missing step, which makes us wonder in a almost like an equation that feels impossible to solve. It's like you have this solution or this product and you try to figure out what's the problem this could solve, instead of starting from the problem, and then you have a whole panel spectrum of solutions that open up to you. And that's my take on this thing. And I would go further, because I used to have a team of during my event time with architects, project managers, and we had this spectrum I would show. And but sometimes the conversations would always go like, if we just build and we don't care about who's the customer, if we don't listen, like if there is no customer, we don't care, we just build our product in a vacuum. Well, we are neither an engineer, neither an entrepreneur, we are an artist. And there's nothing wrong with being an artist, you can just create inside out, invent beautiful ideas in your head. Maybe you just need like Leonardo da Vinci to become like an inventor. You need to find some rich people that give you a studio, money, food to eat, so you can create many creations. But you can't predict who is going to be like who's going to which idea is going to be the winner. Sometimes you can think of it. This is like the VC world a little bit in our space, where we just create different products, and then maybe one of them will take off. So just to come back to engineers, our role is to understand that there is a client and there is a user, and we have to understand what's their problem so we can solve it um, through our products or through the design of our solutions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to pause real quick and ask everyone because I saw a comment. Someone said, I don't hear you.
Can't hear well. Okay.
Can you confirm me that you're hearing us well, that you're hearing
Yeah,
me and Othman
yeah.
uh,
If it's me or
well
if it's
in
you.
the yeah in the
Hmm.
chat, so we can just debug this situation. Outside of that, really other interesting comment from Sabah. She said, "Now you create the problem so people come to you." I'm not sure you problem. That sounds like a tricky. You sell something that doesn't work that breaks people's legs so that you can fix the leg, but it's essentially like identifying the problem
Yeah.
so that you can design the solution. Yeah, everyone is hearing us well. I love it. I want to
Great.
get back to this comment because something very interesting about it. So thanks for joining. Congratulations on attending the YC. So YC is Y Combinator, one of the best accelerator in the world, and apparently, which is a good thing, they teach them to talk to their customers. Always talk to the customers, which I tell my clients every single day. single day. My question for you, Othman, today is: you talk to engineers. Why is it that they don't talk to their or don't want to talk to their customers?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. The why could be um, so one of the what I see, one of what's going on sometimes in the mind. So just going to the brain of an engineer, I believe that we have some psychological biases that we are unaware of, and it's just a blind spot, I would say. So sometimes shedding the light on it is enough just to make them aware of it. And one of them is what's called the IKEA effect. I don't know if you heard what the IKEA effect is. So just for as a reminder, it's the more we spend time building something, the more we build an emotional attachment to it, which makes us a little bit more blind to feedback. So if you build your IKEA chair, you spend so much time building it that if your wife comes and critiques that chair, you feel hurt because it's because you get attached to it. It's like your little baby you just created. And so what's happening is that for me, this is one of the biases that because we build in a vacuum in our head and it keeps building up, we don't realize that we get attached to this creation that we have, and it becomes this my precious that I don't want to share it, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want you to critique it, and it becomes this weird thing. Unless we shed the light on it and we put it out there, we are unable to mold it and to shape it so that it actually fulfill its purpose. So that's one of the whys. I would say that the first one that come to mind. There might be others. So I have one that's probably my own experience, and I'm not sure if it's the truth, but it's something I see me working as an engineer for so long. I believe like our brain gets formatted in a way, and it requires from us to intentionally unlearn some things that we have learned in our engineering work. It doesn't mean that we should get rid of it. So it's very useful when you're working in aerospace. It's very good to be like that. But is it useful when we are running like a startup going into the unknown? So that's one aspect of it. Maybe the wiring before, and also I think as engineers, when we get into that field, it's we're rewarded for so long for our risk awareness, for our low risk tolerance. We're trying in our jobs for all our life, whatever, how many years we work in engineering, to reduce risk or even to remove it. But now we are in an adventure where we have to take risks. It feels like a risk. It's a high stake to speak to people. Maybe there's an emotional response there. It just feels like that. I'm not judging it. So my approach is not to judge the engineer and tell them, hey, you should really speak to a customer. If you don't do it, you're horrible. And they feel even worse about that. It's just to say, listen, first of all, you are a human being before being an engineer. If you have a girlfriend, a wife, kids, you know how to talk to people. So let's just start from there. And as you mentioned before, how can we apply something in the real, like family, personal life, at work, or in business? As simple as that. So we just have to become aware of that we have already the tools. We just need the right models so we can actually transfer that to the other world. And give you an example, very simple example that for engineers, just to give you an example how important it is for us to find the right analogies, because it can save you years of going around in different directions. I spoke to one of my clients, coaching clients for public speaking, and we are having this conversation about pitching or talking about your business to others. And what we tend to do is we speak to people that are strangers while their brain is in read only mode. And we go back to how memory works in computers. We need to send in instructions so that we set the memory in read write. So doing things in the right sequence, speaking about who we help, what's the problem we help them solve, is what signals to their brain to open up now the memory into read write. Now you can upload your thing, your message. And sometimes finding this little analogies that they've been exposed to so they can see it happening in business is very helpful to very quickly stop arguing about it and move on. And yeah, that's I don't know if I covered. I could go for a big list, but I think with the three we have a good set, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Start with those three. And I check the same boxes. I've experienced the same thing um, on my side of absolutely. We have another interesting point here. The majority of engineers are humble, and
Oh
talking
yeah.
about your own product is being in the limelight at uh, at that very moment.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw a post recently on Reddit with someone asking for help. He said something like, "I I don't want to market myself. So what can I do?"
Yeah. That's
And
the.
it get
So,
yeah, go ahead.
no, no. Please continue. It's very.
Yeah,
I'm
and
listening to
so
you.
I started having a conversation with that person, and I got to the understanding that when we are building things, there's something happening in our mind where we cannot separate the product from ourselves. And for him, it was hard to go out there and talk because he had in his mind, okay, I have to talk about me, but no, you have to talk about your startup. You have to talk about your product. You
Yeah.
have to talk about your
That's so
business.
true.
There's a, I need to confirm this in North America, but in France, when you create a company, the company, according to the law, is called a moral person. Like a company is considered by the law a person, a moral person. So not a physical person, but a moral person.
Exactly.
That I know. I need to check for now if there's anyone who can correct me in the comments. But it may be the same case of the thing. So when you look at this, like your business is like a human being. And if you want people to know it exists, you have to talk about it. So it's not about talking about you, it's talking about the moral person, the business itself. And I think it- I have the impression, like, the more I have in conversation, founders and engineers don't draw the line between
Mm.
the product and the person building the product.
Yeah. Absolutely. There is what I see in this humility thing, and it's absolutely true. Like, well, I see it in sometimes my community and conversations that we have, is that, as I mentioned, engineers are humble. Like, they do the work behind the scenes, and when you work behind the scenes and you building the decor, you don't want to be necessarily an actor, and that's totally fine. The problem happens when we made the conscious or unconscious decision. I don't know how conscious could be to start a business, but when we go into starting a business, it's like a new law of gravity is at play, where we have to do that. It's not like an option. You cannot outsource your way out of that. If you're starting a business, you have to learn the basics of sales and marketing. And I think the one who caught it the best and that crystallized, because I thought that this was just my own thought, but I saw it in the book of the SaaS Playbook from Rob Welling, the founder of Drip. And he mentioned something, the difference between technical founders and non technical founders, where non-technical founders, if they build a technology company or startup, they need to hire on their weakness, which is they need a CTO, head of engineering, senior engineer, or a tech within the team to build the technology. He has to be part, like, that's normal. It's almost like go to, you have to do that. But a technical founder cannot do that with sales and marketing. He has to learn those basics. And the most basic ones are of the positioning of his company, like who it is for, who are the customers, what's the problem it is solving, why we are different from others. Later, when you're expanding, then when you hire people from sales and marketing, they will do a fantastic job because now you have a common language with them and they can go and do their thing that they are the best at. But you need that API, sales and marketing API for engineers. So other folks, you can communicate with them. So that's the one thing about the humility. It's true, like there is this humility, but we have to become. It's like when we become a parent, we change a paradigm. I want to be cool and friendly with my kids, but maybe I have to be more authoritative in certain situations. It's required by the job. I don't like it. I'd love to be all fun and cool, but sometimes I have to show the boundaries and the limits of things. So it's something. that you don't know unless you get exposed to it, but you will see it when you go into entrepreneurship. The market, the universe will send you some signals that you've got to learn those things. And you can learn it the hard way, which is just hire someone and expect him to take care of it and see what will happen with the business. And I
Outsource.
think
Yeah.
both of us united our experiences, we can say that that ends up not in a really good place most of the times. Or it requires some courage, and entrepreneurship is an act of courage where you've got to make a leap into the unknown and accept that you don't have all the facts, and you just will learn about it moving forward. And I have to say myself, I have this whenever I'm creating something new, I have to constantly remind myself of this. When I had to share my message about engineers can talk and go ahead, um, I'll like friends around say, but you are too shy. You should really go for it. You should stop this humility thing, and it's still there. And we have, for us folks, it's an effort. We just need to make a little more effort than others to understand it's a duty that we have for our business. It's an act of service to our people, to our clients. We're creating a business that is helping people. So selling and marketing is an act of service, even an act of generosity if you're actually helping people through your services and your product. And this
Absolutely.
reframing is so important. And what it does is, so here's the thing what's at play. We're too concerned about ourselves, like you mentioned. And when we reframe, we shift the focus from ourselves to the other, then it's an act of service and it's a release, like no more pressure. I don't have to perform. I don't have to show up in a salesy way. I don't have to be chicho on the phone. No, no. I just have to ask questions, be curious, try to understand how are these customers I can lead to get a result or not? And am I able to help? And if yes, how? And that's it. It sounds simple like this, but it requires a
Absolutely.
lot more massaging.
No, absolutely. It's spot on. It's spot on. I love that. I love that. Now, I want to dive into the second part of this conversation.
Yeah,
I think we've talked enough about the problem. Let us know in the comments if it's now. I want to dive a bit more into back to your story. So you've identified this problem. What did you build? And
yeah,
can you tell us a bit more about those communities and those service that you've created to help
yeah,
engineers sort of climb
yeah.
to the next mountain?
So it started beginning of 2024 after I made this commitment in a small community to just go out there, start, then learn, which
Yeah.
was the most counterintuitive thing I've ever done to me. Not sure whether this will work, how it will go. I will just go out there. I will invite a few people from the different entrepreneurship communities I was part of. And that's it. I just went in and I started to share this message, and the market responded to me. I got feedback. I got to this gentleman that said, "Oh, we're engineers, we can talk." It gave me the name of the mission. So one thing led to the other. I did it again and again for 3-4 months, and then I created a workshop or seminar for 4 hours. It's called the one-liner seminar, which is for me the one-liner is for me the single most effective tool for engineers when we go into business, because it simplifies the equation for us to answer the question, hey, in networking event, hey, what do you do? And that one liner is so helpful to make the point immediately to get the attention of people, and it leads to two outcomes. If we did it well, Adrian, like the minimum is the body language is different. People get engaged more with you. They're like listening to you. The second level, you get an introduction. Oh, you should talk to my cousin. He's also a technical founder, and he has these problems that you're mentioning. Or the third level, which is the ideal solution, like ideal case outcome is elite. You know what? Let's talk. This speaks to me. Was it Eliza? Eliza, what was the name of the guest you had before? Um,
Elitza. Yeah, Elitza.
Alita, yeah, I discovered her. When she explained the problem she was solving, I immediately knew that her product is for me. Within it took 1 second for me to become virtually a client or a
Mm.
user. So it's so powerful. And I call this in my communities. I will share with you a bit what was the journey, but this is the essence of it. For me, this single thing was the most impactful for people that joined that seminar. because now they could. One of them had this app idea. He was a developer. He was developing it, and I remember he went into a meeting right after this seminar, and he used this one liner. And at the table, one of the person was a lead just in their presentation. I help X with Y. That person happened to be in X, and she immediately said while he was presenting, let's talk after this meeting. And that's how you know it is working. So I call this like the gentleman's business blade. In the old times, like cowboys, or we humans, we used to have a blade with us. I know it's a weird analogy, but I like it because it's this little tool that is very useful. You can craft some tools with it. You can hunt with it. You can survive with it. It's a survival tool, and it it's also a dissuasive one. So when you are clear, when you have your little blade and you walk in a village, people won't attack you because it's very clear what you do. And this tool of building your one liner is, for me, the most impactful one in the communication for engineers, because then it makes it clear for who you work, and it makes it clear who you can partner with that are on the same mission, like us doing this conversation. We could only connect because I got really clear about who is my target audience and who is the community or the tribe I want to serve. And then but when we are for everybody, then of course we're in competition with everybody. We are scared of everybody. We are scared of everyone who's doing the same solution, whether it's coaching, whether it's software development, whether it's a product startup. The more we are broadly positioned, the less we're able to compete properly and partner properly. So this seminar led to the conversation, and everyone said, Othmane, I love this seminar. What's next? And I didn't have an offer. So it was just, I didn't have a product, I didn't have a community. I was like, shit, we have to figure something out. And some one of them said, Othmane, you should build a community. So everything I'm doing was a surfacing. I let it emerge, and I was just letting it come organically from the people I was interacting with, and one thing leading to the other come through school. And this same, I had always the intention at some point in time to monetize the community, but I had to learn how to run a community. For the past year, I'll be honest, I was just learning how to run a community. I never done that. But then we realized we are part of so many other communities for all our life that we just need to get the inspiration from those things that match us. And the journey was amazing because I love working with people. And I learned so much. It's a free community. It's called Engineers Can Talk. Inside there are different tracks. What we learn is to network. So when we build your one-liner, it becomes easier for me to connect you with the right people to network within the community and outside the community. That's for free. You can just join and you will learn. If somebody helps CTOs and you work with CTOs, we'll connect you. It becomes easier to leverage the power of this group so that we can find opportunities from at least this network and also the ones that we are part of. The second level is public speaking. It's one to many now. We have to put that message into public. And I help those that for whom it's important to go through a signature talk, to design the talk in a way that they can give it on the go. Somebody cancels on a on a conference, a friend gives you a microphone, go ahead on stage, should be ready.
Yeah.
That's the idea. And ultimately, and the last stage is sales, is understanding how to run sales conversations, understanding the emotional journey for your customers or clients when they are with you on the phone, the psychological dynamic, the whole buyer's journey. I work mostly on the service side of things, business to business, founders working in the business to business service side. And yeah, and that's what I'm doing. I have also a consultancy where we work, it's called Ingotify, and there we do brand positioning, smaller brand. We work with teams and companies that are, let's say, beyond the 3 million in revenue mark. But I realized while I was working in my consultancy that sometimes the founder was the problem. And
Just
as a
sometimes.
brother engineer, I mean, yes, of course, yeah, but the technical one, like they're like, yeah, but why we have to do this way? Why do we have to design this persona? Why do we have to say the name and what's the age? And well, it just there are so many counterintuitive things that they have to go through to adopt the marketing language, that I thought that I need to work on the person. Like what I'm doing with my community is B2C, and just to make it clear to them, and in our conversation is, I don't care about your client, I don't care about your investors, I don't care about your employees, I care about you, and so you can care about them. So when you run a business, you care about it. And my goal is to help you build the skill, give you the gym so you can practice those, so that you can go out there in the world, whether it's the startup or the next one, you will succeed, you will build the skill that you keep with you for life. And that's so important for us to have this type of conversations, so we can share that message, so that all folks, our brother engineering brothers, can actually make it in business, because it's a survive, like you can't go to the next level without having those basics. I don't know if I went off track. If you could remind me, if I don't know if I answered your question. I know I'm an off-road person. Like we're on the
Nah, no
SUV
worries.
in the forest, and we have
Nah,
to
no
go back to
worries.
the
No
main
worries.
road.
So yeah, so the question was, you've identified the problem that engineers could not talk, could not
Yeah.
sell. And the question was, what did you put in place
Okay.
and what is the state of the art? So, what is
Yeah.
it that you're currently doing?
Yeah.
What kind of product, services, business you have in place to help them?
Yeah. So today is community, because community of other folks like them. So what we do inside the community is that we practice our networking, our one-liner, we practice our talks, and the thing is, we don't judge you. So, hey, don't worry, you can come and talk. It just we're between us. And I do interviews like this, but inside the community, even me, I'm very bad interviewer, by the way, but I'm learning the skill. But again, I'm learning it with other folks like me. I don't feel judged. I can share it, and I'm okay making mistakes, making it goofy, so we can go through those early stages. So when people go outside of this community, of our community, they can rock the thing. They are ready. They have built some. They have a level playing field, so they can do it with more confidence.
So
That's
it's a lot of role play and
yeah, hot
simulating
seats,
inside.
group playing, masterminds also. And that's the way we do it. So community is the free communities online. We also do in real life, like seminars and workshops. I'm based here in Sofia. If some folks want to fly in, they're welcome. We record those sessions, and yeah. And right now I'm just trying to I have one habit to start the year in November. So every 1st of November, I say to myself, Happy New Year. So so I can start. So in January, I'm already launched, and I'm practicing sharing this message now. I'm in the mode of amplifying this message. So I go to other folks, other like-minded people and communities, to see where we overlap, how we can help each other and get this message across to as many people. They need to hear what you are doing and what we are all trying to advocate for.
We have an interesting question here I want to share
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
Can you see a difference between male and female technical founders?
Oh, male and female. I don't know about technical founders, but I worked with both male and female founders, and I would say I don't like generalities or to put like something very general. It's a very wide thing, but there is clearly one uh, understanding of. So the principle of everything I teach in the community together is self-awareness and empathy. We need
Mm.
to understand how we are wired, what's our personality profile. We do quick tests and assessment inside to figure out, are we like more like a people person, disc type of model, something similar. And the second one is, who is the other on the other side. And in the exercises of empathy, I've seen that generally with women, they get it immediately. Like,
Mm.
wow, now I understand the other side. They immediately map things quicker. Probably, guys, we take a bit longer. We need more convincing and proof, and we need to see it so that we can believe it. I would say something like that. But
Mm.
that would be it. I would say more sensibility to, yeah, more inclined to be empathetic with the other side.
I hope that answers your question. For some reason I don't see your name, so I have to double check on LinkedIn
Yeah.
who asked the question. But yeah, brilliant question. Don't hesitate. Drop us your question. You essentially get a free masterclass and a free mastermind today. So
Happy
le-
to do so.
leverage it as much as possible. So the
Exactly.
question was from Benjamin.
Oh, Benjamin. Oh,
Benjamin,
thanks,
thanks
Benjamin.
for the question.
Okay.
Appreciate that. I also lost my thread now. Yeah. So what is what is the what is the entry point in your assistance to engineer? So I'm an engineer. I want to talk. I want to sell. Where do I start?
Yeah. So you start first with who. So I say, just to make it not polemic, but just to make it memorable, I say, I'm not going to swear, but I say F, start with Y, start with who. I love Simon Sinek. I love all his books, all of them. And I learned so much from him. And I think it's very useful for big organizations that lost their way, why they exist and why they're making money. And they need a unifying message to get everyone in the organizations to point. You know how it works in big organizations where there are silos, vectors pointing in all different directions. So I think it's a very good message to get huge organizations to reorient themselves. But at
Mm-hmm.
all level, starting point, you know, starting with the problem of the planet, United Nations, or some big investment groups, okay, to for the future, maybe in the long run. But now your customers care about now. So you have to figure out who you're selling to now so that this is relevant to their life so that they can become buyers. So I'm speaking now on the present tense because when you want to market, you have to understand what's the context. Are you speaking in the present, like for your users or customers? Are you talking to investors and people that are going to invest with you with something in the future? So I'm staying now in the present. This is about sales and marketing. So it's in the moment. And I would say that's the first step is to figure out who, because value is always in the eye of the other. I don't declare my product is valuable. It means nothing. I have to get inside the head of my customers, first through experience, then through conversations, then through behaviors to understand how what do they value. You can look what they say, but also I think in product you have better ability to detect data and their behavior and their purchasing um, actions, so you can detect what they value through the behavior, which is even stronger. And only then you can understand what is meaningful to build and to double down on. So that's first. Second is, without knowing who, how can you know what's the problem to solve? So I'll give you an example. I work with technical founders. Well, in my mastermind, it's mostly service business founders, but service and product technical founders have complete different types of problems. And even when I focus on one, some of them are the starting point. Depending on the stage, they care about completely different things. So our communication has to be aligned with what they care most about, what's who I want to attract more of, and how can I make my solutions relevant to that pain that they're having. And the more we are in tune with that, the more we receive a response. So first, who, then what's the problem of that who, the more precise the better. And one guiding quote I have always is, by trying to turn off no one, we end up turning on no one. And as engineers, we are used to standardize. You know, when you create a class, it's user, it's name, age, sex, because it has to be standard. We have to find the common denominator so that everybody could use this application or this product or this service, which is normal. That's the work of an engineer, to make the solution universal, used by the maximum people. But in marketing is the opposite. What's that one specific unique behavior, unique need, unique problem that they're having, very specific. And so it's like stopping to seek the common denominator and find the unique differentiator. That's the quest that we have to be on. And that's so important, in especially in communication. That's what matters. And you see it in product. You have to look at this weird user that is extreme user into using your tool, your product. You have to pay attention, observe how what they care about, why are they using it into this unexpected way. And that's how you find some of the most amazing insight. So that's second part. And then the third block is unique differentiator. What's the unique differentiator? And that one, most people say, I'm unique because, but I work for everybody. So differentiation is only differentiation in the eye of the buyer. If my buyers do not care about, you know, I'm an engineer. If I'm working, that's my differentiator, by the way, just the one I claim, is that, hey, you can have all the coaches in the planet, you can have all the positioning experts, April Dunford, everyone. That's great. Actually, she's an engineer, by the way. But I'm an engineer, I care about you. Or they care about your business, I care about you. And it's, you could play on whatever makes sense for your people. And I know that engineers, they don't like sales and marketing folks. It's another debate, and I tell them that's not correct. But still, I understand you. That's why me. That's how I position myself. And you have also your unique positioning. So we are all unique in a sense. But the thing is, how can we fine tune it so we find the unique differentiator that matters to the target audience of ours? And the last one I'll put is the trend. This is like the tailwind or the the nose wind. And the problem we have as engineers, as we mentioned for the tagine before, to connect the dots, is that we start with the trend AI, and then we are different because we solve this problem. But for who? Everybody. And what about just shifting the order within doing things? So, to answer your question, when an engineer joins my community, we reestablish what's the right sequence for us to define things, and then so we can now ready to be able to share the message with the world. And this, everything downstream from there becomes easy, because once we fixed who is our target customer, who is the who, we know where to find them. Are they on X, on LinkedIn? If you work with doctors, I don't think they will be hanging out on LinkedIn. So all your LinkedIn posts and inspirational posts might be for nothing. Maybe a doctor cares more about a medical conference or a medical journal or some specific authorities in this space. So being in tune with the who solves is the first order of solving all the problems you have in your marketing and your sales. It's very hard to sell and market to uh, everyone's needs. It's just not possible. There's so many combinations. Just make take an Excel sheet and make some math. It's just impossible. And one last point is a realization I had that's very useful for engineers. It's to realize if it's difficult to sell, if it's hard to, you have to do a lot of convincing, it's because our marketing sucks. And so the more we can shift our efforts to do a better marketing, better communication about our services, who we are, who we help, why, what's our pricing, what's our offer, the more we do that work for the marketing, the more marketing does the heavy lifting so that the sales becomes easier and more natural, or at least the leads or prospect you have are more educated about who you are. So that's the philosophy. When you just join, I have to make you very aware of this, and then we can start to practice. I lost the sound, by the way. I don't know
Oh,
if.
my bad. I was muted. You have me now?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
1 second. Yes.
So yeah, I was saying it's a brilliant sort of preview for our viewers to see what they can get if they jump into your program and can help them. We have a question I want to share with you. What do you suggest to learn to sell first or raise funds to get to someone who knows the sales, in addition to what you've already said?
What do you suggest to learn to sell first or raise funds to get someone? Could you help me reword this so we can slice it up if necessary? I have.
So
Uh,
someone who has already a little bit of experience in sales, what should they do in order to raise money with investors or learn how to sell first as opposed to build first and sell?
yeah. Well, get to know who are the investors you want on your project. That would be like always start with who. So if you are in the present, start with your customers. Who are the users that you care most about, or that will be the most willing to, or that you have access to? There are many things. So there is the present on the user, and for all users and customers, and the other one with the future. And in both cases, you have to figure out and build an actual picture of the person you want to meet. Like for example, we prepared some delegations of startups going to from Bulgaria to Web Summit slash and this type of events. And one of the main thing that we learned to do is to build the event target profile. It's like if we don't know who we're looking for, how do we know that they are it's them if we even meet them. We might even miss opportunities by not clicking at the right, by not being ready once we face such an investor that will be the right fit for us. So what this does is it forces you to actually think, and we do it in a very simple way, and we are very practical. You build a customer profile, what's the story, who they are, like a character of a movie. And if the person exists, it's easier if you have some experience with such people to actually try to imagine where they come from, what's the background, where do they live, what's the surrounding. There's an exercise I could share later how you build persona. There are many information about this topic online, but the most important thing is that I see, especially in the startup world where we have value proposition design, where we define the pain, the gains, the jobs to be done, and then we go into how can we leverage that. I think there is a missing part, at least that's for me what I see, for engineers to get their brain ready to do that type of work so that we can build the right stage for the empathy, is actually trying to imagine what's the origin story of those folks that we want to to meet. You do the demographics, the basic police questions. Like if you were at the police station, they will ask you, "What's your name? Where you live? Are you married? How many kids? Which neighborhood? How much you earn? What's your job? How big is the thing?" And yes, sir. And then you just answer those questions for them. Imagine they've been arrested by the police and what the policeman would ask them. And then you can go to the story, which is from the moment they are born, as stupid as they were born in a family in San Francisco. Just that sets the stage, helps you. It's a trick for the brain to start to see them as a human being.
Nice. Yeah.
They grow up, they went into this field, they did their first exit, then they become an investor. Now they are part of a fund and they're an associate or they're an LP, whatever you want to call them. And today they are at this event. Why are they relevant to you now? Well, today they become relevant to me because they want to invest in startup in this field with this thesis, with these parameters. Now you can think about what are the pains, what are the gains, what are the needs, and then you can unpack. But it's very hard to find what are the pains of people before actually caring about their story, about before seeing them as humans. So that's
100%.
for the same process. I would say get to know the people that you need, whether it's for selling or for investing. Do your research. Do the effort to actually know them, and then find the common overlapping common topics that you can introduce yourself with. Maybe you have a contact in common. Maybe you saw the thesis and it matches your thing. Maybe you have a topic in common. You share the stage maybe with them in one of the events. It could be like find whatever common point you can have, but you have to do some research and your investigation into who they are.
There you go. You have your answer. I hope I hope it's gonna be helpful. I hope it's helpful to you. If you want more, how can they reach out to you? Where can they join your community, your program, all of that good stuff?
Yeah. Well, they can just go to Engineers Can Talk on school. You can tap on Google, Engineers Can Talk. You will come to it. Otherwise, on my LinkedIn profile, that's the first call to action you have under my profile. It will lead you directly to Engineers Can Talk. It's a free community. You can join in, and then we take it from there.
There you go. So school, search for the community called Engineers Can Talk, and you should see Othmane's face and join the community. Send a message, reach out to. What can they what can they expect to find in the community? I just want you to repeat because we're still getting more members.
Yeah, sure,
Everyone
sure.
gets it. What can they get in the community or with your services?
So as soon as they join, the first thing they will have a little GPT that will help them very quickly just get out of the way the whole overwhelm of thinking of your one liner, the who. It will guide you. So in 5 minutes, you get your first one liner. So you use that in your introduction posts or in the place where everybody new introduces themselves, and then there will be you will join some conversations. So there are people already, folks from the community that are sharing their last experience speaking in public. You can see through learn from their pain, what they learned, also the tricks, and they're sharing. Everyone is sharing their own experience. Inside also we have a challenge every month. We're doing a networking challenge. For example, I'm on a hard mode. We have like green, yellow, red to network. So whenever I'm speaking to somebody new, I'm logging it. I say I spoke to this person, this great person. They help X with Y. And then if you see interest into meeting this person, I can connect you. And that's just, it's a game. So you can join and play the game of networking, and let's see what we can learn from each other. It's great because you can ask me any question in the community, and I will answer it either through Loom video. Right now we are 100 people, 110 people in the community, and you can just join the game, ask me questions. I always reply to all DM. I do little looms when it requires. We do also tear downs, different seasons. So when I open the season of tear downs, you can put your website, your thing, and we start to review it and get your feedback. So typically that's how it looks when you just join.
I love it. So the school is called Engineers Can Talk. School SKOOL. Engineers Can Talk, and all the good stuff in there. Let me see if we have a couple of questions here and there. You can. Oh, there we go. You can also get Sava and Benjamin in the
That should be
community.
Ben.
You
Yeah,
brought
these are
you
my
brought the
active members. Yeah,
you brought your
leaderboard
active
leaders.
you brought the tribe into the live, which I love, which is a good thing. That gives like the good energy. This is what you'll get as
Yeah,
well. You get a
absolutely.
community of people who are excited and helping each other, sharing with each other, which is the best part. Like there's the African proverb that says it takes an entire village to raise a child.
Yeah,
It takes an entire community to raise a business.
yeah, I love
So
it.
so yeah, absolutely. Any final word, final thoughts you want to get out there?
Uh, I would just say that I really love what you're doing, and I think the food analogies are the ones that work the most. When I have several slides in my presentations, in my workshops, and the ones that always come back is this orange juice one. I just wanted to share with you as a closing
Yeah,
thing. And when we
absolutely.
use when I try to explain, I will send to you the image as soon as I will finish this. And when I try to explain why the one liner is important, is because of an exchange of energy. So, when we present ourselves to strangers, often we are nobody to them, and we expect them to do so much effort to figure out what we do. So when we present ourselves, when we respond to, "Hey, what do you do?" with "I'm an engineer, I'm a software engineer," well, it becomes like, okay, in what? Oh, I'm a startup founder. Okay, startup founder in what? We don't realize. We think it's our intelligent part of the brain, but it's so much, and it's so energy consuming. And when for people you are nobody, they don't have. They Why should they spend that energy? You don't give them any reason. So the way I explain it is, it's like you're throwing oranges at people just to eat them. You figure it out, you know. And the next level is what I call the X for Y. I do X for Y for an industry, like software engineering for fintech, um, AI automation for legal entities in Bulgaria, for example. I heard that today. But okay, cool. It reduces the space. I call this peeling the oranges. Now you're not just throwing
Yep.
oranges at people, you're actually removing, peeling them and giving them. You created some value. You, you become useful. You made it easier for them to eat the oranges. But when you explain what you do as I help X with Y, like I help a niche with a problem, that's the orange
Yeah.
juice. And when you give them that, they want to drink it and they want more of it. Because you make it, they no longer have to spend energy. They're getting energy out of this juice you created. So that's why I advise everyone in my community, that's the first step, is to learn to build a one liner. It's a perfectible thing, it's a iterative process to improve it, but get it right. Just do the effort, because this does wonder in business. And just to finish, I use always with this one liner one thing I learned that helped me a lot in conversations that I think would be useful for everyone. It's to, once you figure out what's the use case of your product, service, whatsoever, to start with the conversational version of "I help X with Y" instead of saying it robotically, which is unnatural. And many people say, "Well, but why should I say this on my LinkedIn and in conversations? It sounds really weird." I just say, you can preface it with, when, between brackets, use case. Well, I
Problem, use
help
case. Yeah.
X with Y. For example, when a technical founder pitches a business and nobody gets it on the other side. Yeah, well, I help them get that message very clear in a few words so the other side gets it. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it has to be done in a way that's useful for the others. Bring the orange juice formula. So, and because of the
Love
orange,
it.
you inspired me to share this with you as a lasting word.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Brilliant. Full of value, full of actionable value. So if you're watching this, this is what you'll get if you join Othmane's community, the school group called Engineers Can Talk. and so much more. That was just a glimpse. That was an appetizer of what you can find in this community. There's so much more knowledge and cool thing happening there. I want to close this session today. I had a great time. This is my
Actually,
second live today,
loved
and
it.
you can tell
Yeah.
the energy is still there.
Yeah. Don't worry,
That's
we're here. I was there the first episode. I actually loved
yeah.
it, and it helped me keep going onto this one. So you can you can do
So
even a third one.
these
It's doing
sessions are
fantastic.
really
Yeah.
energy gainers and not energy drainers. That's why I love doing these. So
Likewise. Mm.
fifth episode, Othman, you just gave us the secret recipe of the tagine to get people to sell, to get people to talk. I hope everyone got it. If not, just rewatch the stuff. And if after rewatching the stuff you're still struggling, reach out to him. That was the Startup Kitchen Show episode 5. See you on the next one. But until then, boom.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao, ciao. Thanks again.